I'm a firm believer that there are lots of great men in the world who have a sincere desire to be a good partner. And I know that many of these men even dream about being a father one day. And I not only believe this to be true, but I have personally witnessed it with my friends, with my colleagues, and with many of the men that my clients ultimately end up in relationships with. But I'm also aware that we have a culture of toxic masculinity that is so pervasive that even a lot of men who have good, sincere hearts may exhibit some of these qualities on the surface. And as a woman, it can be so confusing because you don't know who's who, and it's so easy to just fall into the idea that there are no good men out there. And I completely understand why so many women feel so defeated and feel that it's just impossible to find the kind of man they're looking for. But in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 red flags that when you meet a man who exhibits these qualities, you don't even have to question it. All you need to do is run. But I'm also going to share with you that the men who exhibit the opposite of these qualities are most likely high-value men that you're gonna wanna get close to. So watch this video all the way to the end and you will have 3 good reasons to run and 3 solid reasons to stay. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you get notified about new videos when they're released. Thanks so much for being with me today. It is always a pleasure. Lots of love. Let's get started. So the first one of these red flags that I want to point out is the man who says things but then doesn't follow through on them. There's a certain consciousness about a man who recognizes that the words he speaks are important and he feels like he needs to honor that. There's a certain consciousness about a man who recognizes that when he speaks, other people are listening, and he feels that he needs to honor the words that other people hear come out of his mouth. A man who gets that and who recognizes that and who lives by that is a man who is respectful of others. It's a man who is respectful of himself. He's also a man who is honorable and a man who is trustworthy. And a man who just talks and talks and talks and talks about this or talks about that or talks about the other thing, but doesn't follow through on any of that. He is fundamentally lacking those qualities. I've always said for many years that a successful relationship is founded on the agreements that you make and keep with each other. And if this man does things like he says he's gonna take you out and then he cancels last minute or doesn't even show up, like he's not even honoring the words that come out of his mouth. He's not even honoring the agreements that he makes with you. And if he can't honor a simple agreement, like going on a date, how can he honor the larger agreements of your life? Now, this isn't just about the agreements he makes with you either. He might be talking about moves he wants to make in his business or businesses he wants to start, or he might be talking about all kinds of different things. He might talk about trips he wants to take. He might talk about anything. And when you're getting to know a man, you want to sit back and observe and ask yourself, does the things he say, are they backed up by action, right? When he says something, does he follow through on that thing? Does he do it with you? Does he do it with other people in his life? Does he do it with himself and the promises he makes to himself? Right? A man who lives by his word is someone you can trust to honor himself and someone you can trust to honor you and your relationship. And a man who does not live by his word, a man who doesn't get it, that when he says something to you or to anyone, it's important that he honors that thing that he said. And at the very least, if he can't honor it, he owns that with an apology and an attempt to make it up. A man who doesn't live by his word in that way is not a man you can trust and not a man you can build a life with. Now, the second red flag I want to address is the man who is overly sexual or makes everything about sex. And I want to be clear about this. I'm talking about before you've gone there with him, okay? Because most times, once you've gone there with someone, once you've opened that door, there's going to be a period of time where you're just all over each other and can't stop having sex for a few months. At least that happens a lot of times in a lot of relationships. So I'm not talking about once you've opened that door, but I'm talking about before you've opened that door. And this is why I always recommend to ask him to wait a little while before you go there together. And I want you to hear me out on this, because I'm not saying that you should do it because it's bad to have sex, and if you do it, you don't respect yourself and all that. That is not my point. My point is, it empowers you to have him wait a little bit, because it gives you the opportunity to see who he is and how he's going to handle this. And what's going to happen is a man is going to respond to that boundary in one of two ways. He's going to either reluctantly accept it or openly and sincerely accept it. So the reluctant guy is going to be the red flag. He's going to be the one you want to look out for. And so if he reluctantly accepts it, he's going to be like, okay, fine, if that's how you want it to be, whatever, we'll do it. You're still making us wait. He's going to maybe mock it a little bit, maybe demean it a little bit, maybe subtly criticize you for having the boundary. And he's going to always be pushing the boundary. So every time he gets a chance, he's going to be saying, how about now? How about now? How about now? Can we do it now? What about tonight? You think you're ready yet? He's going to constantly be pushing that boundary. The other kind of man is going to be the man who says, yes, absolutely. I totally get that. I respect it. I want you to feel ready when we go there. Like, I want you to feel good about it. I want you to feel like it's the right time. So take your time. Let me know when you're ready. I totally respect that. Okay, a man is going to respond to your boundary in one of these two ways. And the way he responds reveals the kind of man he is. The first man, the red flag, right? The one who's always trying to push the boundary, he doesn't care how you feel. He doesn't care if you feel safe or not. He doesn't care if you feel comfortable. He doesn't care if you going there too early is going to cause a rift in the relationship. He's not worried about any of that. All he wants is to get what he wants from you. And a lot of times, as soon as you sleep with that man, he's gone because he got what he wanted. Now, not always, but sometimes. This other man, he's showing you what he's really interested in. Yes, he's interested in sex. Most people are, right? So he's not interested. It's not that he doesn't want that, but he's willing to put that on hold for the moment because he gets that it's not the most important thing. What he's really there is to get to know you. That's what he's really there for. He's there because he wants to get to know you. He's there because he wants to explore a relationship with you. And he knows that if the relationship unfolds into something significant, that of course you're going to have sex. Of course that's going to come. He's not worried about that. He's more concerned about building the foundation of a solid relationship with you. And so you want to look for the man who is willing to put the relationship above sex, who's not just trying to get you into bed as soon as he can. He might go for it if you were willing to invite it, but that's not what he's concerned about. What he's concerned about is, I want to get to know you. I want to establish a relationship. And yes, if we establish that relationship, when the time is right, we're going to get physical with each other. That's okay, right? So you want to look for a man who has that consciousness. And when a man doesn't have that consciousness, you want to accept that he's not really there to build a relationship with you. Now, the third red flag I want to bring up is the man who avoids conversations about the future or makes you feel bad or wrong for bringing them up. Now, there's this big cultural narrative we live out of that says men are commitment avoidant and you should never bring up future conversations with them and you should just hold back and let them bring it up when they're ready. And if you just wait long enough and get them to like you, they'll eventually fall for you. And I want to respectfully say that that is all bullshit and it is a very, very bad approach. Okay, a man who cannot handle real adult conversations about the future is not a man. He's a little boy. And once again, very similar to the last point, when he makes you feel wrong or makes you feel bad for bringing up conversations about the future, that is his way of making it all about him, right? I'm having a good time hanging out here. Why are you ruining it for me? I'm enjoying this. Why are you making it so serious and making it a problem for me? Why can't you just have no needs, have no desires, and just be exactly what I want you to be and like not be a human being of your own? Is basically what he's saying. And that is a relational immaturity that he lacks. Now, I do want to say there is something to be said for the way you bring it up, because there is a way of bringing up these conversations that is very clear and confident and empowered. And there is a way of bringing up these conversations that is very desperate and very needy. And the way you bring up the conversations can have a lot to do with where the conversation goes. Now, I'm not going to get into that in this video. That would be a topic for another video. But I do want to say that, it does matter how you bring these things up and how you talk about them. But if you bring this up in a confident and empowered and clear way, where you're just wanting to have an adult conversation about where the relationship is, what you feel, what you see, what's possible, and he is not able to handle that, he makes you feel bad about it, he makes you wrong for doing so, if that's how he responds to it, he is revealing an immaturity that is not going to bode well for your future together. Now, I'm not saying that a good man is going to immediately be on board. Yes, let's get married. Yes, let's move in together. Yes, let's make a baby, right? Like, I'm not saying that an honorable man is going to be immediately on board, but he'll be willing and open to the conversation. You see, an honorable man is going to recognize that you're not just someone for him to use for his own satisfaction, that you are actually a human being with your own needs, with your own desires. And he's going to recognize that if he's going to be in relationship with you, he has a certain responsibility about those needs and about those desires. And if he can't honor that, then he shouldn't be with you at all. So a man who doesn't have that awareness, a man who doesn't get it that, okay, if I'm going down this road with you, if we're exploring a relationship together, I need to honor and be respectful of your side of this, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you want, what you're experiencing. And we need to be able to talk about that. And we need to be able to, be on the same page about these things. And if we can't do that, or if I can't do that, then I shouldn't be with you. When you bring these things up, you want the man to respond by saying something like, yeah, let's talk about it. How do you feel? This is how I feel. He might say, I don't really know yet. I'm really enjoying getting to know you. We're having a lot of fun. I don't really know exactly what I see for our future now, but I can think about it and we can keep talking about it. And, I will let you know as soon as I know. And he can, at a very minimum, be open-hearted to the conversation, be willing to hear you out, be willing to honestly share. Now, ideally, he would say something like, yeah, I really like this. I'm really enjoying this. I really see this going somewhere. Yes, I want to continue this. Yes, I want to keep exploring this. Right? But if he's open-hearted to the conversation, if he's willing to hear you out, he's willing to share honestly about where he's at and what he's experiencing, you can be open to exploring the relationship with him to a certain point. And you can trust his honesty and his sincerity in that. And it may also get to a certain point where you may decide for yourself that, okay, if he's not clear, then it's time for me to move on. But again, we might be getting into a little bit of another topic there. But what I want you to really get is that if he doesn't have the maturity to have these conversations in an honest, sincere, and open-hearted way, and to respect your needs and your desires in the relationship, and to be present to the fact that they are there and that they matter and they are important, then he's not a man you can have a real, sincere, open-hearted relationship with. I've been coaching women for many years, and we have tackled every dating scenario you can imagine. But I find the biggest challenge that women run into is that they get impatient waiting for the right man to show up, and they end up trying to force it with one of the guys who demonstrates these red flags. But what I've seen time and time again is when a woman can remain so connected to her value that she just will not allow herself to get involved with one of these guys. Something happens to her that sets her apart from all the other women in the world, and she becomes magnetic to men. There's an exclusivity about her that just makes men crazy, and they want to work to prove themselves, to earn the relationship with her because they get that she's worth it. And more than anything, what I want for you is for you to be that woman and to have men show up for you that way. So if you're interested in looking at the deeper levels of this work, check out the link below to look at my Inspired Love program, which is currently open for enrollment. If you want to do the program, make sure to book your call soon because time and calls are very limited. Thanks so much for being with me today. Sending you so much love. Again, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you get notified about new videos. If you know someone who would benefit from this video, please send it to them. And please drop a comment below to let me know your thoughts and how this video landed for you. Thanks so much for being with me today. Sending you lots of love on your journey. Sending you all the blessings in the world. I hope you get everything you're looking for. And I'll see you back here in my next video. All the best.